Okay. Hi, everybody. I don't know you all. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Well, hi. Jim, where are you from?
I'm from Springfield.
Okay.
He's a fabulous treasurer
Well, then why isn't he running this course then?
because we have you.
Uh,
You're amazing.
and Carol, where are you from?
Vienna.
Vienna. Okay. All right. So you're with Sonia.
With Sonia and Sheila, yep.
And Linda, I know you, but you're E-Club now, right?
Right.
Okay.
Hi,
And
everybody.
hi. And Josh, where are you from? Josh, can you hear me?
He's on mute.
No, he's not on mute. I think he's frozen.
Oh, he is. Oh, yeah. He may be unfrozen. Okay.
It's showing mute on my screens.
Oh, okay, because it's not on ours.
I see him on mute too, but I don't. Oh, no,
Yeah, he just dropped.
all right. Okay.
He's on. He's
Hi,
unmuted there.
Conrad.
Well, hi.
Hi, Con.
I'm joining to hear what I can learn about being treasurer.
I know. I feel the same way.
You've been a treasurer for a long time. How can you not know how to do it all?
I've been doing a lot of things for a long time.
Hi,
I'm still
Connie.
doing them wrong.
Hi.
Hi. It turns out Sheila's also on there, and hi, Joe. She
Hi,
promised
Mike.
to assist me as well.
Whatever the boss wants, Connie, you're the boss. You just tell us. I tell
Josh,
her that all the
where
time.
are you from, Josh?
I'm in Fredericksburg right now, but
You're-
I'm from the Alexandria Central Club.
Alexandria Central. Okay. All right.
Oh, nice. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
How are things in Falls Church?
Okay, there we are hanging in there.
Good. It feels like old home week to me.
Michael, I posted your presentation for everybody, so if anybody wants the presentation, they can just download it. It's in the chat.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Connie.
You're welcome.
Connie, do you know offhand how many people had signed up for this?
I believe it was, I can tell you right now, I looked. $14.
Okay. Well, we're 8 at the moment.
Sheila, call tomorrow.
A call from Earl.
Me.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I got your email. I already
Okay.
put it on my calendar.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I hear something in somebody's background, somebody speaking.
Ah, shoot.
I don't know who that is.
That
Gregory,
would be my husband, Michael. He talks very loud and he's at the other end of the apartment.
okay. I'm just checking as to where people are from. I've checked most people. Greg, Mark, Tom, can you tell me where you're from? Greg, you're on mute.
I'm assuming you can hear me. I am at Albemarle County.
Sorry, who was speaking?
Mark, I'm
Mark.
at Albemarle County.
Okay, all right, okay.
And this is Greg. I'm from Vienna.
Greg is from Vienna, okay. Tom? Oh, there's Sonia. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.
Hi, Sonia.
Hello, everyone.
Tom Finley, can you tell me where you're from? You're on mute.
Herndon, Reston, Northern Virginia.
Herndon, okay. Alrighty. Well, I think we may have just about everybody here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
12, 13.
13. Okay. All right.
14.
Where's Barry? Hi there. Welcome, Barry. Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes.
Barry, which club are you with?
Well, Middlesex, but we are now a satellite of Matthews.
Okay. All right. All righty. I'm just checking where everybody is from out for my own curiosity. I guess I might as well get started. Again, my name is Michael Arietti. I'm with the McLean Club, and I have been our treasurer. Now, this is my 3rd year. And on day 1, I had never done any kind of treasury function at all, other than, balancing my checkbook. So anybody can do this with a little bit of common sense and effort. What I'm going to do is 2 things. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you a little PowerPoint that summarizes the functions of the treasurer. And then hopefully after that's done, I will share my screen again and show you the finance module in DACdb. If your club either is using that or is interested in using it, that is what we use in McLean. And that is the only tool that I have ever used. I never used QuickBooks or other options, because we had just gone into the finance module for DACdb when I became treasurer. So, and I am a novice at Zoom, and I have 2 very helpful women who are going to assist me in case I get lost. But I will try to share my screen, which I have to figure out how to do. Usually isn't, yes, there's a share button down here. And Connie, once I hit share, do I have to have the PowerPoint up already, or once I hit share, will it automatically come on?
You just need to find the document.
I can see the document. I have it minimized.
Okay, go ahead and share your screen and then open the document.
Can you see it?
Not yet.
No.
There we go.
Yep.
Okay, so that's okay. Now I just have to get rid of all this other minimal stuff here. If I can minimize that and go to all right. Was that okay?
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
For everyone on the call, if you look in the chat, Michael's presentation is already posted there, so you can download it if you'd like.
Okay. And listen, anybody, feel free. This is a very informal discussion. And anybody who has a question, just shout out, tell me who you are, and I will try to answer it as we go along. Because I don't think we're going to need the full 2 hours that's been allocated for this, but I do want to try to be helpful in any way I can. And we have other treasurers here who also have experience, so let's see how that works. Whoops. Now, why isn't I have the first picture up here, Connie. And on I'm hitting the up down arrows on my computer, but nothing is happening. Maybe I have to hit this first. Nope,
Michael, look in the lower left-hand corner of your screen and you'll see the arrows down there. See that right there?
Yeah.
That should there you go.
There you-
Okay, I didn't, why, okay, fine. Okay, so what are the responsibilities of a treasurer? Obviously, you collect and you have to secure all of the funds of your club. I'll go through these and then we can stop and discuss. One of the first things you should have done already is to work with the president to create an annual budget for your club that is supposed to be balanced, and you anticipate your income and then your operational expenses. You send invoices to members for their dues and any other charges. In McLean, we send out invoices on a quarterly basis. Some clubs do it, with a different time schedule, and that's up to each club to decide what makes sense for your club. You obviously pay bills, supported by invoices. I think record keeping is critical for any treasurer. So I never write a check unless I have a piece of paper that I can attach the check stub to, so that if anybody comes along and says, you wrote this check for $242, what's it for? And, they'll know who it went to, but for what purpose, I have the invoice or something already attached and there's no question. I report to the club. I'm on the club board, and every month I give a very short report to the board, telling them how much we have in our bank account, any particular big expenses that have occurred that are worthy of mentioning. If anybody is in arrears for their dues, I mention that. If we have a fundraising event or something, and I need to give a report on how much money we've made, et cetera, et cetera. So each month, the information is provided a little bit differently, but at a minimum, I always give them the checking balance and a summary. And when I show you DACdb, it gives there an automatic presentation of all of the payments that have been made for a particular purpose. I also, again, using DACdb, reconciled the bank and the club accounts. The club accounts are on DACdb, and there's a reconcile option in the DACdb system, which I use, and that's very helpful. And you definitely should reconcile your accounts every month. Any stories I've heard of treasurers who've gotten into trouble, it often has to do with the fact that they didn't do a monthly reconciliation. All of a sudden, 6 months have gone by and they're short X amount of money and they can't figure out why. Same thing at the end of the year, and end of the Rotary fiscal year, you do an end of year reconciliation, and you need to prepare appropriate tax forms. All of these things I'm going to go into a little bit more detail as we proceed, but let me pause for a moment. Anybody have any immediate questions? Nope. Okay. Bank accounts. Both you and the club president should have signature authority on your account or accounts. And that's because, if somebody gets sick or is on vacation or whatever, somebody may need to write a check right away, and you should have a backup person who's doing it. Some clubs, I guess, have assistant treasurers, but we don't. So it's in my case, it's the club president and the treasurer. And you have to remember, each bank has its own procedures, but basically every time there's a new person, you need to have that person go into the bank, sign the appropriate forms, delete the previous individual who had been on that account. So you end up with just two two people authorized to access the account. All of us have what I call operational and charitable accounts. To me, the operational accounts are things that are paid for by club member dues. We have, I'm just going to use round numbers, but let's say we have income from dues of $25,000 a year. When I prepare the budget, I assume that's the total income we're going to get. And then the administrative budget, the operational budget, includes things like paying for a venue if you need that, for printing, for postage, for supplies, if you're ordering new member kits, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things are, you ought to be able to pay them from your operational budget. Our charitable accounts, and some clubs have two separate bank accounts, one for operational, one for charitable. I don't do that. In McLean, we have only one checking account, but each deposit, each check is linked to either a charitable fundraising expense or income, or operational expense or income. So it's quite easy to distinguish which is which. And it is very important not to mingle those two accounts, because I think all of us assume that if you're doing a fundraising for a charitable purpose, it's not to pay for your buying new member packets from Russell Hampton or however you do it. And I do think that is important to keep them quite separate. Again, you reconciling the bank and the club accounts, making sure that the income and expenses that are listed, in my case in DACdb, are the same that are listed in the statement from the monthly statement I get from the bank. And if there's a check that hasn't been cleared yet, it all is taken into account, and you should end up with an even amount for the bank and your club accounts. Again, maintaining records, I will drill on this several times. It really is important to make sure you have adequate receipts, adequate proof of expenses. In my club, we have a policy that somebody else should review the treasurer's accounts periodically. We tend to do it every 6 months. And I have somebody else on the board. I give them all of my materials, all of the reports, all of the statements, and they can go through and compare and contrast and then ask me any questions they may have. And I think it's good for you as the treasurer to have oversight, and it's good for your club to know that there's, everything is above board. You can, through the bank, get a club credit or debit card. We do that, and both the president and I have individual debit cards that we can use for operational expenses. Any questions there? Okay.
Yes, this is Jerry Hamilton. I'm the Viva Vienna
Okay.
Treasurer just for that subset. But we were advised a couple of years ago that it was better to have credit cards than debit cards. Could you go into the relative value problems, assets?
No, I can't say that I can. We have the bank that we use, authorizes a debit card. A debit card is an automatic withdrawal and there's no fee associated with it. If you have a credit card and you're using it, there may be, an annual expense for that. I don't know if anybody has any other thoughts on that, why one is better than the other. We've just, as default, we use a debit card. Can anybody else have any thoughts on that? All right, sorry there. Go
Yep.
ahead.
No problem. Go ahead.
I have a question, Michael.
Sure.
Do you use a particular book for you say you make copies of everything and you document everything. Is there a particular system you use other than what's in DACdb?
I mean, no, it's a lot of it is paper. I mean, I have I don't write a check by hand. I do it on the computer. So the top of the check is made out to, Russell Hampton for $44. And I sign that myself, and then I mail that check off, and you detach that from the rest of that sheet of paper, which will show that it was, the check was made out to Russell Hampton. So I have that as a indication that there was a reason why I wrote a check for $44 to Russell Hampton. So that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about, is that, or if you go to, somebody goes to buy stamps from the post office, you get a receipt from the post office, and then you've written a check or however you paid for it, and then you attach the receipt from the post office to your check stub or what have you. That's what I'm talking about. Paper
So
trail.
do you use a particular binder or anything, or you just?
Well, everybody has their own way. I use plastic folders.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Thank
That's
you.
just me. Anyway.
If I might just throw in a comment, another option is to scan all those things into your computer so you don't have boxes of paper lying around, and it's all easily brought up electronically.
That is a very good idea. I guess I'm too lazy to scan everything. But you're right. That's probably a better option. And I'm old fashioned, and I like to talk to people in person or on the phone, and I like paper copies. So that's just me. A more modern, younger person probably should do the scanning option.
Michael, I just wanted to follow up on Jerry's question about the credit cards. Part of the issue that we have, and I'm sure we have other clubs that have this problem with the debit cards from our bank, we were strangled to the point where Jerry couldn't operate for Viva practically because of the maximum limit they would allow you to use your debit card for. So we actually worked with the new bank that we're moving to and talked about the credit cards versus debit cards. And that's what has us looking for credit cards right now.
Okay. Well, Vienna, you're a club that has a huge fundraising effort, and you have numbers that most clubs don't have to deal with. We actually use our debit card very rarely. I can't think of a recent time when, I guess, if you're paying something online, you might use the debit card. But normally, we still do most things by check. Okay, going back, so we talked about the debit cards. All right, I'm going to go to the next screen here. Invoices. We have 42 people in our members in McLean Club. And each one, we don't, as it says here, prepare and send monthly invoices with dues and other charges. Monthly is just a placeholder. We do it quarterly. I don't know whether other clubs do it monthly or not. It's really up to you as to what makes sense. I find it much easier to do it quarterly, and therefore we and that the invoices vary from quarter to quarter. Some things remain the same. Club dues for us are always the same every quarter, but twice a year I have to pass on to members their prorated share of Rotary International dues and district dues. So the invoices in July and in January for our club members are higher because they include the costs or the fees, the dues for those two, RI and district. Also, if we have a holiday party and there's a cost for that meal and we don't usually take cash, that gets added in as a line item on the invoice, probably on the January account. So that is an important thing, again, to keep everything straight. You have to have some system. I'll let others comment on QuickBooks, et cetera. As I said, I have only used DACdb. We're quite happy with it. It works for us. It may not work for a larger club or a smaller club, et cetera. If somebody becomes in arrears, again, this is a personal way that your club handles it. I have in the past had members who have gone into arrears, and I usually reach out to them first and ask if there's something going on. And, sometimes they're having a temporary financial problem and we just let it slide for a quarter. Other times they're totally unresponsive. And then you need to let the president and whoever else is appropriate on your board to know you have a member who is falling deeper and deeper into arrears. And in terms of that, do remember when you start off, actually it's the end of the year, make sure that you have updated your membership data in RI, because they're going to charge you for the number of members in existence on, I never can remember whether it's June 30th or July 1st, but one of those dates, you're going to be charged for 42 club members or 40 club members, et cetera, et cetera. And if people have left the club and are no longer members, but you haven't changed it, then you're going to be charged by both the district and RI anyway. So you don't want to have that happen. Again, any other questions? Nope. Okay. Payments, always good to pay your bills as soon as they are received. Don't let them build up. Again, I just went over RI and district semi-annual invoices. They come to you both electronically and they come electronically. I don't think they come in the mail anymore. And you then, of course, need to pay them. Again, I've already talked about payments being justified by invoices. Again, the type of items that you include in your invoice will vary from clubs to club. I mean, we have certain fixed items, dues, twice a year RI and district dues. We have a separate line charge for meal costs. We have you might have like I said, a holiday party or some kind of a function that members have agreed to have have that cost added to their invoice. Sometimes people buy, we as a club order T-shirts that have, Rotary Club of McLean on them, and then each individual doesn't pay cash, that gets added to their invoice. So again, those are all options that you can or cannot use in creating your invoice. And then on checks, again, as I said, we use checks a lot. We've had a little tussle in the past, whether you should have one signatory or two on checks. We decided that it would be okay for the treasurer alone to sign a check as long as it was an anticipated expense that was covered in the budget. At one point, we thought of requiring two signatures for a check over, say, $1,000. But frankly, I write a lot of checks over $1,000, and that would be kind of tedious to have two signators. But it is good practice to have two signatures on checks. So I am not arguing one way or the other. I'm just letting you know what we do. But you should have a policy as a club as to what's appropriate for your club and make sure that, everybody understands what that is.
Michael?
Yep.
Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, but with our meeting with our new bank, he informed us that the banks will not accept checks with 2 signatures anymore.
Right.
That's correct. That's what he said.
Yeah,
Okay. You think that's true of all banks?
Don't know.
well,
I don't know either. Well, again,
This is Conrad.
yeah,
Our club does have the bylaws require 2 signatures. And when I address this with the bank says, we don't care, whether you require or not. If it's got 1 signature, we will clear the check.
okay.
That's good to know. Thank you, Conrad.
This is Linda. We had Scott, and I had originally said that it would be 1,000, but just like Michael said, you write checks for over, like the international dues was over 1,000, so we upped it to 2,000, and we only need 1 signature for that, and that's with TD Bank.
Okay. Well, again, I just think, you as the treasurer and your board and your club president need to have a policy as to how to do this, what the rules are, so there's no confusion. And I don't think there's a cookie cutter approach on that question for each club. Smaller clubs may find it unusual to write a check for over $1,000, and others may find needs to be done all the time. So I leave that to you as to make a decision. Okay, accounting. Again, there are multiple accounting systems. You have to figure out what works for you. Again, I already told you how in my case, we segregate operational funds from charitable purposes. Segregating is done internally to the DACdb system, not in 2 separate bank accounts. But again, that may be an option that you would like to do for your club. I know there are clubs that have 2 different bank accounts for operational and then a separate one for charitable or fundraising purposes. Again, I talked about you working with the club president at the beginning of the year to have a budget. I think it should be in our bylaws, the board has to approve the budget, and that happens. They tell me it should happen in June. In our case, we always do it in July. But at least, it has to be done early in the fiscal year. Again, this accounting has to be clear and transparent. Monthly reconciliation, I've covered these. And then I've explained to you how we have oversight in the McLean Club. Sometimes you can, if you have a accounting firm do a review of your accounts, that costs money. And so each club again has to know whether that's a desirable expense or not. If you're a big club with big budgets, maybe that is something worth doing. We have managed without that, but as long as you have some type of oversight, I think you're covered. Any questions on that?
Again, this is Conrad. Michael, you kind of quickly brushed over monthly reconciliation of bank and club accounts. Most people who are not really familiar with the responsibilities of a treasurer don't realize how important this monthly reconciliation of the bank account to the club account is. Earlier on, you mentioned about having a problem with, funds not showing up. One way to really minimize that happening is to do this monthly reconciliation of the bank. I mean, it's very easy for the treasurer to falsify the accounting records, and then he can show you the bank statement. Well, they're not going to be the same because you got outstanding deposit, outstanding checks. But if you do the reconciliation, you should be able to, by adjusting for outstanding deposits and checks, the accounts should balance, be equal. And if you don't do that, who knows what your treasurer is doing? So I'm just trying to emphasize, I've been treasurer for like 10 years at Dunloring. And I always, along with the profit and loss and the balance sheet, I include a reconciliation of both the operating account and the charitable account.
Absolutely, Conrad. You're absolutely right. And yes, that is the safest way to do it. It's once you've done it once or twice, the reconciliation process isn't that complicated. In my case, I have the statement from our bank, and then because we use DACdb, I can go in and, if there's a deposit of $500 in the bank, I can see that same deposit of $500 is in my accounting. If there's a charge of 250, I can see it in both places. And as you're absolutely right, you ought to come up with zero, taking into account checks that have not been cleared.
And QuickBooks has the same thing that you just do a reconciliation and QuickBooks automatically does it. And if you've done everything right, everything comes out balanced. Now, if you got a problem, it shows up real quick. So.
Right. Good. Okay. Thank you, Conrad. Yeah. All right. I'll keep moving. Reporting. Some of this stuff is a bit repetitive. I've already talked about a monthly report to the club. If you have a problem, if all of a sudden you see that you're spending, 4 times more on some activity than you had anticipated, you better flag that, because your budget's going to be seriously out of whack. And that's true, again, is your club keeping to the budget? And are you, again, is it overspending? And are you short because multiple members are not paying their club dues? And then you need to, as I said earlier, figure out a way to talk to those members and find out what's going on. Taxes. This was something I knew absolutely nothing about when I started. And I'm far from being an expert. So anybody who has other thoughts can chime in. But every year you have to prepare, each club has to do a 99DEZ. And since our Rotary year ends at the end of June, the deadline to file that is November 15th. You can seek a 6-month extension if you want to by filing this other form. But make sure you do one or the other, because if you're late, then you're subject to a potential penalty from the IRS for not filing, even if you don't owe them a nickel, and you probably don't, because we're 501c4 organizations, and we don't pay taxes, but you still have to do the paperwork.
But most of the Rotary clubs were 501c3s.
Well, I thought a 501c3 was like a foundation. I thought our clubs were 501c4s.
I think you're correct.
Yes.
There are a few clubs that are 501c3s.
Well, no, most clubs.
RI was encouraging it last year.
Encouraging what?
Clubs to become 501c3s, but it's not easy to do.
No, it's not, and there really isn't reason for the club. That's why, like your club,
Right.
Michael, you have the Tysons or McLean. Don't you have a separate foundation?
We do.
Yeah, the foundation is a 501c3.
Right.
So to get that 501c3, it's a pretty involved process, application to the IRS to get approved as a 501c3 IRS approved organization.
So why would you bother? What's the advantage of being 501c3 as opposed to C4?
The big advantage of being a 501c3 is that when you take money from a donor, the donor can deduct that for tax purposes as to the extent of the law. A 501c4, if you make a contribution to 501c4, it is not tax deductible.
Okay. Well, we often have, since, you know, we do have a separate McLean Foundation, but we work hand in glove. And if we're having a charitable, you know, a fundraising event, we may tell anybody who's donating to make the check out to the McLean Club Foundation, not the McLean Rotary Club.
Exactly, yes.
And therefore you avoid that, that tax issue.
Now, a little minor detail. A lot of times donations come from a corporation. A lot of times a corporation considers those to be business expenses. And as such, they get the deduction as a business expense rather than a charitable donation. So you might be able to take donations from a corporation as a 501c4.
We do.
Generally, if an individual makes a donation, they want to make it to a 501c3.
Right. And this is, I mean, this is very relevant. And I will tell you, for example, we have in December, we have a Jingle Bell Run, and we have on the form for a donor, if they're going to make a donation, it says very specifically, if you are doing it as a charitable donation, make your check out to the McLean Rotary Foundation. If you're doing it as a business expense, make your check out to the Rotary Club of McLean. So we are aware of that, and we indicate that to our potential donors, and that's one way to address that.
I've got a comment, if I may.
Uh-huh.
In Herndon Reston, we actually have two different tax IDs, one for our foundation and one for our operating account. The operating account, yeah, we use the 990 EZ card, fill that out, piece of cake. However, the foundation account, it was way over my pay grade. And when the accountant did it, it was about 15, 20 pages. It was pretty involved. And with foundations, you have to have certain criteria in terms of you can't just collect money without writing any checks at all. So I don't know if this is accurate or not, but my guess is a foundation might need a more involved tax form versus the 990 EZ. And our foundation is a 501c3. I couldn't tell you what our normal account, operational account tax ID is. It's not a 501c3, I know.
Yeah, I'm a president of a 501c5, and we can't deduct any donations to us. However, we have the ability to lobby Congress, and so that's just an additional, you know, there's differences to different 501s. So
Okay. Well, again, I mean, the bottom line, I guess, in this discussion is you as the treasurer of your club need to know what your status is. I am not the treasurer of the McLean Rotary Foundation. I am the treasurer of the club. The foundation has its own board of directors and its own treasurer and its own accounting process. And I know that is done because we talk about it in the broader club. And your foundation needs to make sure it abides by the rules and regulations and is submitting its reports on a timely basis. But unless you are the treasurer of both, which you probably shouldn't be, then it's somebody else's problem, not yours. Remember that there is a state corporation report. We all just got it the other day, and if you may have received yours as well.
Right.
There's a $25 fee, an annual fee to register, and that's due by October 31st.
And that's only if your club is incorporated.
Okay, if you say so. Again, I inherited this process, and we've been paying it forever. I don't think are we incorporated? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that, but I know we have to file and pay the $25, and we've been doing it forever. So I cannot go into the background. Maybe somebody else knows. No. All right, and then sometimes people, I've been surprised, don't know this, but as a 501c4, you can have a tax exemption paper. You have to apply for it and, make sure you're eligible. But then you get a document which exempts you from Virginia sales tax. And that can save you a fair amount of money, depending on what kind of expenses you have. And you just should be aware that that is an opportunity for your club to save a little bit of money on sales tax. And again, we've already talked about the 501c3 foundations. So I will keep going. Again, the foundation, I've already said just about everything on this form, on this slide rather. Separate board officers, blah, blah, blah. And that was the end of my slideshow. What I said, as I said earlier, I would like to show you how DACdb works if you're interested. But before we go into that, any questions from anybody on anything?
Good job, Michael.
We'll receive those slides, Michael.
Connie said she put them in the chat, but I think if you
Oh yeah, I did get it in chat. I saved it. Okay.
Right. Anybody else got any queries? I hope that was modestly understandable. Okay, so now I'm gonna, let me see, I have to go to share and where is DACdb? Oh, here, all right. Okay.
Over there. That's fine.
Can you see this now? Can you see DACdb?
No, I can only see you.
Oh, well, I am,
I see the whole gang, but no DACdb.
once a week. So I whoops, all right, now this is where I'm gonna get messed up here.
Do you have just one monitor, Michael?
Yes,
Okay.
and I've lost it now. I don't even see it here. Let me see what I can do here.
All right, click on the share again. Did it open up again?
Click on share. Now, what I have now lost is the DACdb. So
Look down, where do you have all your icons that are open?
I had it down at the bottom, and then I clicked on it to open it. And then you guys said you couldn't see it. So now I'm
okay, you have to probably open another window and reopen DACdb.
okay.
You probably have to minimize your screen with all of us on it. And that'll let you open another window.
Yeah.
Do you see your browser?
Now I see you again. Wait a minute. No, that's the Zoom. End of slideshow, click to exit. All right. So I need to click on that to exit.
Okay.
All right. I'm trying to close the this thing here. All right. So now I see you again. And where is my
in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, on the Zoom screen that you're looking at with all our pictures,
yes.
Click on the square but in the upper right-hand corner next to the X, and that'll make your screen smaller, and you should see your browser right behind it.
I see view with 6 dots. Is that it?
Go further over to the right.
There is nothing further over to the right. I have meeting information, I have recording, I have signing, view. The view is going to minimize this screen here. Why don't I have it? Let me try to, oh dear.
Michael, down at the bottom, do you have another row and your browser is down there?
Say that again, Connie?
I said below Zoom, do you have another row that has your browser in it? I'm not sure what browser.
Yes, yeah, I have Google Chrome there, yeah.
Okay, well, open it.
Open, yeah.
All right, it takes me back to Zoom. All right, here's DACdb. And I have that.
Now share your screen.
Well, all right, I guess I have to minimize this first then. I have to minimize DACdb in order to see the screen. Oh, wait a minute.
Do you see us on the screen?
No,
Okay.
all I see is DACdb. So I'm going to minimize it. Now I see you. I'm going to hit share, and then I'm hopefully going to be able to see my.
Right, it should come up once you do that.
He minimized it. He's still going to see us.
All I see, it says there's a desktop. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can. It says share.
There you go.
And there you go.
That's perfect.
Are you seeing DACdb?
Yes.
All right, because I'm not.
Not DACdb,
No.
but we're seeing your screen. You have to go into it.
Yeah, your home screen.
Open up DACdb now.
Okay, can you see
There
it?
you go.
There you go.
All right.
You're in there. Good job.
I told you I was a novice and all that, but I appreciate everybody helping. Okay.
Thank you, Connie.
Right. Let's go to all right, let's go to invoices. Again, you see all these every quarter. I create a new invoice that is that's appropriate to that person. And here in the middle, these are all the members of our club. And I will click on my own name. And this will show you the most recent invoice that I had. And you see all of these different numbers here. These are line items that I have created in the chart of accounts, so that if I am preparing an invoice and it says quarterly club dues here, I will click on that, and it tells me, and it automatically populates $93, which is what we charge per quarter for each club member. And when it came to paying district dues and RI dues in July, I was able, again, using DACdb, to click on pay that, and you've already set it up in the chart of accounts as to how much each person is going to pay under this item. So district dues and RI dues change, occasionally when the dues go up, they never go down. So you would need to modify the rate here in order to do that. But again, and here installation banquet, that was that was kind of a one-off expense. But again, you're able to put that into the invoice, so you have the total. And when I P-mail this to everybody, they get an individual link that allows them to pay their bill by credit card or by ACH if they want to, or they simply write a check for that amount and mail it into our PO box. Does that make sense to people?
Michael, this is Conrad. That makes sense. Now, you said your members are allowed to pay their bill by credit card. What credit card service do you use?
When you use DACdb, it allows somebody to pay by credit card, and they can use whatever credit card they put in. if it's American Express or Visa or.
Yeah, okay.
So they do that, and we recently changed our policy. It used to be that the club absorbed the fee for the payment by credit card, but we decided that was becoming unwieldy, and now we ask the individual member to pay the credit card fee, which is, you know, around 3%. So that is how we do that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Michael, do you have Pay Factory connected to this?
Yes.
Okay, and you get a fee from Pay Factory as well,
A charge?
a charge when they pay by credit card.
No, we don't. We no longer are, the club pays nothing. The member pays.
Okay,
You have you have to set it up one way or the other. Either the club pays, you know, if your bill is $500 and you say pay $500 and you put in your credit card amount, it will, if the club is going to absorb the fee, the member pays simply $500.
right.
If as it now comes, it will show you that the payment due is $500, and then it adds on the 3%. So you have another, you know, $15 that's added to it to pay by credit card. And you don't have to do that. And in fact, since we shifted to the members absorbing that fee, more and more people are paying by check, which is a little bit harder for the treasurer, but I guess not surprising. Because if they pay by credit card, the payment automatically is entered by DACdb. So the treasurer doesn't have to do anything. So let me see, maybe I can go to, what's a simple way to do this? Let me go to accounting. All right, so this is the way I use the DACdb system. So when I go, if I have a deposit, well, let's see if I can do this. See, it will come here, it will come to this screen. And let's say somebody has written me a check for their dues. So I know this is going to be a deposit. I will usually, I tend to be quite, let's just say here, dues Zavella. Then you go to members, you add a line here. You can put in the check number, and then you put in Zavella, it comes here, and then you enter the amount of the check that you've received, and you press save deposit, and that's it. So but you have to do that for each individual member. Now you don't have to do it on a separate screen. You could add, you know, more and more of these things. And if it's a meal, it's not a dues, but it's some other expense, you hit other, and you get, you know, a different, it segregates it between member dues and other types of expenses. So this is how you enter income into the DACdb system. If you want to record a check, you know, you write it to, you know, Russell Hampton, and and if you were to click here, well, I can do this. This is the chart of accounts that's been created. There's a base chart of accounts in DACdb when you first sign up for it, and then you can modify it as you need. So paying Russell Hampton is something that is not done through it's an expense. It's not a fundraising expense. It's not meal. It's administration. So you click on this and you go down to, let's say it's membership badges or packets. You click on that and you see again, it has automatically gone to that account. So when you come to your reports, it's automatically in the correct line. And to me, this has been a great, once you figure out how to use the system, I think it's a big time saver. And then, you know, again, you put in your amount, you know, $24 and you put it, let's see. Let me see. And it's, I haven't put any money up here. That's why it's not showing it right. And then you would click on it and you see out of balance 0, because the amount you're putting, you're telling it to do, and the amount that it's actually putting into DACdb is the same. So that's how you use DACdb for checks. And some of them are fixed. I mean, the evangelists, we meet in the Lutheran Church, and we pay them every week, for every weekly meeting, and so I have a check at the end of the month for that. But here in the chart of accounts, you can see all of these different categories. If you go to cash, you can put in cash from Big Pot, from Happy Talk, for guests, et cetera, et cetera. Non-meal payments, if somebody you have an induction fee, some clubs do, some don't, we do, et cetera. Member payments, is it a club member? Is it for a special event, the installation banquet, et cetera, et cetera. So all of this is here. And when you're entering data, entering expenses or income into the DACdb system, because of all of these numbers here, it automatically puts it in the right category. Now, administration, this is where I should have actually maybe shown you this first, but these are examples of administrative expenses that we do. We pay for training for club members. So that's that. And if you can see, these were reimbursements that were done last year for individual members, when they went to see pets or other activities. So you can, you'll find a lot of this is familiar to you. Again, questions while I'm going on? Anyway, these are all in the chart of accounts that you can modify as needed.
Michael, while you have that open, I do have one question. How come some of your numbers, like Zoom services, is 6190-6190?
I don't know.
Okay.
Sometimes the system is it hiccups or it spits out something, and if it doesn't mess up my accounting, I don't.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Fix it. Yeah.
That's exactly right. This is the reconciliation option, and again, this is all of this stuff here has been automatically populated. These are all of the deposits that have been put in, and these are the expenses. And then based on my check, if I can see this expense or this due deposit on the checking account, I click it here, I put in that check, and again, it automatically reconciles, so that you are, if there's no hiccups, it's very simple. If there's something you forgot to enter into DACdb or whatever, and it doesn't reconcile, then as Conrad said earlier, you got to scratch your head and figure out what's wrong, but you need to fix it in order to reconcile on a monthly basis. So
Michael, do those transactions come from your bank into this?
No, the bank statement simply tells me, and that can be a bit confusing, because let's see, here are two items that are on the same date. So instead of a line item for this and a line item for this, I may get one composite total in the bank, on the bank statement. And then I need to say, gosh, I don't have a $4,600 deposit. What could that be? And then I think about it and I say, oh, is this one and this one together add up to that amount? So then you click here and here, and you know, it balances out. It's not a problem-free system. I don't want to sell DACdb as that, but it is something I've become familiar with, and McLean is pretty happy with in general. The budget is not a great tool, to be honest. As you can see up here, you know, if you have it, you can divide it up by months, but I don't do that. It's not useful. The only thing that's useful actually is in the beginning of the year, when you're trying to come up with a budget, you can you know, input your members here. And where that makes sense, I'm going to go to reports. And I'll use this budget summary. And I'm going, all right, so it's as of the end of August. And here you have the budget. It has copied the number that I put into the budget for big pot ticket sales. And it tells me through these first 2 months, we have gained $246. And this is how much less than that. But all of this is automatically populated once you enter it into DACdb. It shows up in this reporting tool. So you can go to the reporting tool anytime you want to and just say, gee, you know, where are we? What is the status of that? You know, we have this fund run, and this was the annual budget for donations, not for expenses, was, you know, here $7,300, and we have already received $1,500 this year in individual donations. So again, all of this is, you know, these are very useful tools. You know, speaker gifts, we budgeted $150, we've spent 61. Zoom services, we budgeted 150, but we spent 168. So again, this to me is a useful benefit of using the DACdb system. And that is, I don't think there's anything else here. We've gone over invoices. Printing checks is you know, not really worth going into. We've done the reconciliation, et cetera. There's an end of year reconciliation option as well. So that's the way it works. The chart of accounts that I mentioned, this is the way it is, and you can modify this. So if you have a new activity, you can go in here and edit it or add line items in the chart of accounts that will, like our chocolate festival, which is our McLean's big fundraising event. When we first started this, we had to create this chart of accounts for all of these different items. And you know, once you do it once, things make sense, and you can figure it out. Dues payments to DACdb, you know, it's a wash. The income and the expenses ought to be the same for your what you charge people for those fees and what you have to pay them. Caterers, we have an individual caterer. Other clubs don't, so I don't want to go into meals, especially because it's rather, in McLean, it's very complicated. Hopefully you guys have found a simpler way to do it, and I wouldn't wish our system on anybody else. Anyway, that's what I wanted to show you on DACdb. The charge for DACdb varies according to the size of the club. I don't remember off the top of my head how much it is. I think it's, for McLean, it's probably a couple $100, maybe $250 or $300 for this whole package here. If you were a smaller club, it would be less. And Vienna, you probably pay more. I don't remember.
Well, they haven't given me a fee yet. I've asked several times, so that, because next week is when I want to call them and get started on this. Did you have any struggles with implementation
of DACdb?
Yes, of this module.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is not the most user-friendly module in the world by any means. And so you definitely need to you need to understand, how it works. And it's not, here, for example, going back to invoices, this is the equivalent, these are the charge items. So if you're creating a new invoice, you have to go into each one of these and click on, that items in order for it to be populated into the invoice. And as I said, if your installation banquet cost is different this year than last year, you first have to go into the chart of accounts for the installation banquet and change the amount from, $40 to $45. So there's a
Right.
lot of prep in this process.
And you can't set up automatic quarterly invoices?
Yes, every time you create a new invoice, you create one, you go up here and says add invoice group, and you'll get a new invoice number, and for that will there, and then it looks like this. These are members and these are people, and I suppose it's possible to not send an invoice to somebody, but I don't know why you would want to do that. But then this is all, whoops, this is all populated. And as I said, in order to create the invoice, you go into the charge item and you click on that, and dues. Here, quarterly club dues. If you click on that, it will automatically populate $93 to Arietti Michael or Birch Nikki. So that shows up then. And so each person's invoice is different because not everybody has the same expenses in every given quarter.
Right.
Maybe 50% of the people will have the same invoice, but not everybody will. As you can see, these are all, there's a lot of differences, but here's a 520.50, here's a 520.50, here's another 520.50. So all of these people had exactly the same line items in their invoice. But somebody else who doesn't pay for meals, for example, would have a much lower charge.
Okay. Well, like I say, I'm going to call DACdb on Monday. Did you use the DACdb training, the extra $99 training that they offer?
I don't think I did. I think I took this over from a previous treasurer.
Uh-huh.
And he did a lot of hand holding with me as I was starting, and I did I had a lot of questions, and so it was very helpful for me to be able to bounce those questions off of him.
Good. And you'll do that with us when we're ready?
Sure. Absolutely.
You are.
All right. Let me see how
I know you have offered that before, so we are finally reaching the point where we're good to go.
Okay, I'm stopping.
This is Linda. I think I need a lot of hand holding. I feel so lost doing this job.
Well, what tools do you use? Do you use QuickBooks? What do you use?
No, I don't use anything. I just I'm just
Time for
using DACdb.
Pardon?
That's it.
You have
use the
DACdb?
finance module?
Yes.
Oh, you have, so you're new to the finance module?
Yes. Oh, yeah. See, Michael, I'm with the E-Club and I took it over from Louise.
Mm-hmm.
And she wrote, she gave me a book full of instructions on how to do everything. But I'm just learning this. It's just totally new.
Yeah.
I can call her and ask her, but she's done this for 5 years, and I think that she's kind of just going out and really don't want to do it anymore.
DACdb is not, as I've said several times, not the most user-friendly system. If you have questions, you can call me. I'll be happy to help you, Linda.
You're gonna hold my hand?
I'll hold your hand.
And Sheila too.
All right, this is Conrad. I might pass a thought on to other ones. In my business, I've got a number of property management clients. And so I have a bookkeeper that has been doing books for me for about 20 years now. And she is actually technically probably the treasurer for the Dunloring Merrifield Club. All I do is present the reports, but she does all of the bookkeeping. Looking at what Michael presented here, there's not a whole lot of difference between DACdb and QuickBooks, just some minor or superfluous stuff, but accounting is accounting. That's sort of the way it works. And I was just going to suggest that you might check with all the members and ask them if any of them use a bookkeeper. And we pay about anywhere from $15 to $45 a month. When she does the dues invoices, it might be $45 a month. Normal monthly bookkeeping is about $15 or sometimes $30 a month that we pay her. And it's just a thought that check with members of your club and see if any of them, use a bookkeeper or know a bookkeeper. And if you can pay them $15, $20, $30 a month, that, in my opinion, is well worth it. To just do the bookkeeping.
Right. Well, that's a good advice. And again, I'm not a salesman for DACdb. I'm just as I said, we inherited it. I do think the reporting in particular is very helpful, and I'm not unhappy with DACdb, but it depends on each club whether it's suitable for you or not.
Well, I will say one thing. The cost, like you mentioned here, what did you say it was, Michael?
I frankly don't exactly remember, so I don't want to mislead you. But
okay, I think it's somewhere under $200. And that you're going to pay much more than that if you have to buy QuickBooks. And you probably get some pretty good help from DACdb on these things. And so if you don't have somebody doing this, my thoughts are this from what I saw, the DACdb system is pretty user friendly, even maybe a little bit more so than QuickBooks. And the price is certainly reasonable. And like you said, it's got a feature that allows you to collect my credit card. So that's a pretty good feature. And you don't have to pay monthly fees for ACH payments and things like that. So.
Well, yeah, no, it is. And the other thing I will say about DACdb is they have a helpline, and you can call people or you can send them an email, and they're very responsive. They do get back to you very quickly in terms of trying to sort out your problem. So that I found that very helpful indeed. And Linda, you can always do that. You can just call them and say, I don't know how to do that. I have a problem right now that I still don't know the answer to, and I'm going to be calling them later this week.
Before they used to do training on different subjects. Do they still do that?
If you go into their onto DACdb, they have a help there, and then there are all this training modules that are there. So if you have an issue with invoices, you can click on invoices and they will walk you through it step by step. So you can do self-training as needed, and then you can call them if you have something you don't understand.
Can I share my screen, Michael, and show them the new training modules?
Sure, if you can.
Sure.
You have to authorize that? No, you can.
No.
Okay.
Got it. All right. Do you see DACdb on your screen?
Yes.
Okay. This is the support and learning. And if you click on this orange button, this is where they are moving all of their training library, training things in here. And they have got quite a few things in here. They're working on a full thing for finance, but I went through this last week and I found this I watched It's for your communications officer, but it's the finance module, invoices and statements. This is an excellent video. Where are the other ones? Carol, I showed you where they were.
You did, and I haven't had a chance to get on and look at them yet. I thought you just, if you scrolled down, they were just there. Are they moving things? If there's
The videos that they have in the other, here, let me go back over here. The videos that they have down here with the finance module are very old. They're like, when you go into the finance module, they're like 8 years old.
I know because it's muddled and you can't understand it. I tried
can't.
listening to it.
All right, so if you go into the DACdb University training, these are their weekly Zooms, Linda.
Okay.
And it gets older and older. The newer ones are at the top. Just look at the 23 and 24. This is where I found the other ones, Carol, are in here.
okay.
They did a lot of the finance module towards the end of 23. So just go through in the support and learning tab, but make sure you go click that orange bar and find that communications officer training. Linda, that it really is an excellent video. So
Okay, great. I'll look into this.
essentials for new users. I sent a lot of people into here to get the district grant training, to get videos, pointing them to newer videos than what we had in the system. These are all from May, and I went through them with them when they first came out with them. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, where their training videos are, so you have it.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. That's good information. Thank you, Sheila.
Well, listen, I don't want to keep everybody longer than you would like. So are there any other questions or thoughts or comments or complaints of any type?
I have a question for you when we're done though, Michael. It has to do with your club.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, then I thank you all for your attention. I hope you found this of some use. And we have, I'm available to try to answer any questions. Obviously, Sheila's, an expert. Connie, a lot of people are experts at this. Conrad has been doing this, as he said, for 10 years with help. But if you really get stuck, I think there are resources within the district who can help you, and you shouldn't be tearing out your hair at night saying, how in the world do I do this? Just ask and people be available to help you.